You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
And now, it's time for the show that breaks down the options market from unusual activity alerts to market analysis, strategy overviews, listener questions, and much more. If it involves puts and calls, then our all-star panel will break it down. It's time to hit the Option Block with your host, Mark Longo from the Options Insider Media Group, and co-hosts, Uncle Mike Tosaw from St. Charles Wealth Management, along with Andrew the Rock Lobster Giovinazzi from OptionFit.com. Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC. And now, get ready to hit the Option Block.
All right, everybody, that music means we are back once again. It is time to get weird. It is time to get wild. It is time to get, dare I say it, funkalicious. Yes, it is time once again for the Option Block, your bi-weekly source for all things options related. Hope you had a good weekend, man. It's been a wild start to the new year. Wild stuff going on in the markets. Wild stuff in vol and metals and equities, you name it. Earnings kicking off in earnest this week with some of the big tech names you all are obsessed with, all popping off, kind of giving us the groundwork, the lay of the land for what the future holds out there in the markets. A lot of things to sink our teeth into on the show this week. My name, of course, Mark Longo from theoptionsinsider.com, as well as on the network upon which all of you folks are binging. Make sure you subscribe to the full network, wherever you get your favorite podcast. And if you want to check out all the awesome stuff, rumor has it that panel I did last week with Mr. Tony Saliba and Greg Stevens and all sorts of fun others is going to be hitting the pro for our pro members this week. A fun exclusive there, as well as, of course, the upcoming Vol Deathmatch 2.0. You want to get access to all those exclusives and a whole bunch more. theoptionsinsider.com/pro is the place to go, but now is the time for us to go back into the halcyon days of the 80s. Days of the 80s that on the back of Stranger Things and on the big announcement release last week, the 80s very much back in the forefront of the modern era. But let's talk about it. It is time for the 80s Trivia Challenge. Here we go. All right. That music kind of sets the tone, I think. A little bit different music this week than our normal trivia music. Why? Because MOTU is back, baby, and it has taken the internet by storm. 20 million views in like a couple of days on that trailer, beating out the Star Wars one and everything else. People are hyped. Closet MOTU fans coming out of the way. I knew I was pretty hyped for this. I think Sebastian might be rivaling me. He was messaging me all weekend about what the popcorn buckets are going to be, whether there's going to be a message at the end of the movie. There's talk of him flying in just so we could go to a midnight screening of this movie. So yes, all things Masters of the Universe. He-Man, back in fashion in 2026. Is there I defy you to find a more 80s appropriate subject for our trivia than He-Man. So I am calling an audible. We are tackling the greatest show of the 80s today here on the show. So get your buzzers ready, gentlemen. Because everyone knows He-Man. Everyone knows Skeletor. They're two of the iconic foes, nemeses of the 80s. But whoever buzzes in first will have a chance to name two other Masters of the Universe candidates. Go. All right, Uncle Mike, I saw you in there first. Two more. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Orko.
Okay.
and Man-at-Arms.
All right. 2 right from the opening intro.
The others that know his secret is he's Prince Adam and He-Man.
Yeah, that was funny. They went for the secret identity angle. I don't know if they're going for that in this new one. We'll see. Have you seen the trailer, Uncle Mike?
Parts of it, yeah. I think it's pretty cool. I haven't had a chance to really get into it too much, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good thing.
You didn't put aside all of your client reporting last week to watch the trailer and binge it over and over again, sir? What is wrong with you? What child of the 80s are you?
Yeah, it is kind of disappointing. But if we go down the He-Man route, I don't think that's going to fare well for Andrew in 2026. That's probably, I know that's right up there with pro wrestling in a lot of era.
I would love nothing else to do an entire year of Masters of the Universe trivia.
Why don't we?
I wouldn't do that to the Rock Lobster.
Oh,
let me just say, I would have a fun time every Monday. I would look forward to it like a little kid on Christmas. But alas, I don't think that'd be about as fun for the Rock Lobster as if we did an entire year of woodworking trivia for the rest of us.
Poking this in my eye right now. That's what that would be. I might as well just poke it in my eye. He-Man
well, now we're back to some highbrow stuff like He-Man instead of just all this lowbrow.
The highest of highbrow. All I know is there's talk of Sebastian flying in. Maybe we go to a midnight screening. Uncle Mike, are you down, sir?
I might be, actually.
How can you not be? I think Rock Lobster, even in his cold black heart, in his flannel-covered heart, might fly in for this one. Just the popcorn buckets alone. Sebastian's texted me all weekend. What are the popcorn buckets going to be? I was like, I don't know what they are, but I'm buying them all. I don't care. Do I want to sit there shoving popcorn in my face from a Castle Grayskull or Snake Mountain? Yes, I do. So yeah.
Who produces He-Man? What studio? Is that a Marvel thing? Or?
Mattel owns it. So it's totally a toy-based thing. Yes.
Oh, I mean, He-Man's the one that inspired me. I wanted to be a power lifter because of He-Man.
There we go. He-Man changing lives. Listeners.
Oh, He-Man was awesome.
We might have to have invite some listeners. There's been some outreach. We might have to invite some listeners to that. Might have to have a whole thing.
And just to mess with me, my older brother, he was 10 years older than me. I'm in first grade at the time. Just to be mean to me, he used to always say, "Hail Skeletor." And that used to get me so mad as a kid. And he even sent me a text the other day saying that Trump is doing this, that, and the other, but the true thing that we have to worry about is He-Man trying to do bad things to Skeletor.
All the older brothers, Sebastian told a story about his older brother attaching his He-Man figures to the ceiling fan and spinning them around and launching them everywhere, and that still scars him to this day. So older brothers, clearly.
Oh, they're horrible.
They're true Skeletors of life. Mr. Rock Lobster, Mr. Rock Lobster, our chat is worried about you. They're like, what was Rock Lobster's childhood like if he didn't like 80s wrestling and MOTU? They feel bad for you, sir. They feel like you lived a sad, some might say dreary childhood existence.
I was G.I. Joe, so when the 80s came around, I was in college. So these He-Man things were below my age bracket. I'm an old AARP. They keep sending me this card, and I keep sending it back to them, telling them, no effing way. Take your cards and give them to someone.
Mark and me are eligible for ARP in another couple years.
Tosaw's looking forward to that $5 movie ticket or whatever ARP gets you these days. I don't know, but I might be with you. I might when that time comes, I might be tearing up that card too, just on principle.
Yeah, you just keep tearing it up, Mark. You just don't accept it. Don't accept it.
I refuse to accept the ARP card. But there you go, listeners. 1 point on the docket for the Uncleist of Mikes. Did you get that? Could you name 2 other He-Man characters, listeners? If you couldn't, what are you doing listening to this network? What kind of listener are you? As we keep on rolling right on into the trading block.
It's time to break down the latest topics, trades, and trends in the world of options. It's time for the Trading Block.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Trading Block. I forgot to mention at the start of the show, the entire show is going to be focused on unusual activity around Mattel options today. All sorts of action going up out there in the wake. It probably is, actually. I haven't had a chance to look, but there probably is more action this week than there has been in some time. Maybe since the Barbie movie came out there in good old Mattel. But let's see what's going on out there in the rest of the market, shall we, listeners? And it is a big week. I wasn't lying at the start of the show. We do have a lot of earnings popping off. So a lot of folks' eyes keenly fixed on some big names like Meta and Apple and Microsoft and some other big tech names popping off after the bell this week. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of green on the screen to kick things off. S&P up a little over 0.5%. Dow up about 0.5%. In fact, all three of them are right in that 0.5 to roughly 0.55 or so percent range on the day. So pretty much 0.5% to the upside for most of the major indices. VIX cash having a hard time really breaking the 16 handle below it for too long. It got slightly below it, then hovering right back up to about a 16 even again right now. That puts it up about 2/3 of a point from where it was this time last week. VVIX at about 100 exactly, so hanging out right at that par strike, up about 2 points from where it was this time last week. And then, of course, the metals stampede just continues. I mean, gold hitting $5,000 an ounce now, silver hitting over 100 last week and well north of that now. I mean, the metals run has been just, I think the technical term is freaking insane. So a lot to unpack. Mr. Uncle Mike, as our winner, our MOTU champion for the week, sir. First off, if you want to spend the rest of the show just going down the He-Man rabbit hole, I'm here for it, sir. Just lead the way. And then if we have time, what else is catching your eye out there in the markets today, sir?
Well, Andrew and me were chatting about MAT volume while you were talking, and we think that Skeletor is doing some type of insider trading on it.
He's loading up on all the puts. He's going to tank the movies, what you're saying?
That's probably something that Skeletor would do.
That is a very Skeletor type of thing, yes.
He's an evil dude, that's for sure. No, how can you not love He-Man growing up? I used to rush home from school just so I could see it. I think it came out at 3:30, and He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Castle Grayskull, Battle Cat. I actually named a cat Battle Cat. And
you had a Battle Cat.
Well, I married into a
That's
cat
awesome.
when I got married, and then so I renamed our cat Battle Cat, but the wife didn't really agree with that. But nonetheless, I called him Battle Cat. So
Was he at least green with stripes?
not even close. He was orange and fluffy, but he was Battle Cat.
Okay. Hey, to each their own, sir.
Anyway, but yeah, maybe I think I'm gonna go buy a cat and name him Battle Cat now, just for that. That sounds like kind of a fun idea.
Got to put a sweet helmet on him. It'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, not Crenshaw though, but Battle Cat. So anyway, looking at markets today before I go off on the He-Man rabbit hole. Yeah, it seems like with today this is fairly broad based with where we're at from a sector standpoint. Technology is leading, but it's not leading by a huge amount. Looking at XLK up 0.9% on the day, but financials are up just under 0.5% on the day. And then I think that we'll see some movement somewhere, somehow, in terms of with the earnings coming up, as you had said, Mark. Big story today, and bonds are up slightly on the day, but of course the big story today is the new meme, which we call silver now. SLV up over 12% on the day today. This is insanity, and at some point, it's not going to continue to do this. But if you own silver, then I'm happy for you. I wish I owned it still too, but nonetheless, this is just crazy at this point. And so if you do have some type of protective measures in place to hedge your silver, something you may want to consider when doing it. When things go up 13% in a day, it's one thing if it's a penny stock, but if it's a major metal like silver actually is, that's another story. Gold, heck, that's boring. Gold's only up 2% on the day. So we're definitely getting a run towards the metals. That could be telling us a lot of things here. But at this stage, I don't think it's telling us anything anymore because of the fact that it's just so insanely bought the way with which it is. When metals go up, they go up, of course, but we're past the point of where, wonder if metals are telling us something. Metals aren't telling us anything right now. They just got drunk. And they're just acting crazy because metals are just too drunk right now to be telling us anything, I think. So are we going to have more inflation because metals are going so much higher? Maybe, but metals told us that about 20 points ago, at least with silver. Right now, this is just insanity. So that's what's happening at this stage right now. Metals are the big story of the day. Of course, the VIX is relatively flat on the day at just under, it's at 15.97 as I'm looking at on my screen right now. So we see that. And then in terms of any individual names doing anything of any major craziness, nothing on my screen that's really lighting things up to any high levels. I mean, Apple is up 2.5% on the day, up $6. So that's recovering from pulling back a little bit. Microsoft's up about 1.5%. So nothing that I would say is too major in terms of lighting up my tape. And that's what I'm seeing today. I have the power.
Chat was talking earlier about, last week the premiums and SLV put options were north of 100%. Now you could sell them for north of 200%. Has any of that lured you to the dark side at all? Are you eyeing any strikes to the downside where you might think about nibbling a little bit to the dark side, Mr. Uncle Mike, in your beloved silver?
Not with client money, perhaps with some speculative money in my own account, maybe, but no. But I think this is just one of those things to where in order to be in order to do anything with silver right now, unless you are managing your risk because you've been in this run and you stayed in this run, then yeah, manage your risk, ride it up. What the heck? Put in a stop, buy puts to hedge it or buy spreads to hedge it or whatever. That's fine. But if you're doing anything else but that, I just think you're crazy.
That does seem to be the conventional wisdom right now, that silver is for crazy people. Are you a crazy person? Are you out there getting into silver? Have you been lured by some of these premiums? You could have sold, I think when silver was around the 85 handle, you could have sold the 80 puts about a week to go for somewhere close to $5. Of course, we're well north of that now. Just wild stuff going on out there in all things silver. Has it lured you to the dark side, listeners? That was going to be our question of the week, just all things metals. And then, of course, earnings intervene. You might still have to have some flash polls, or maybe next week will be all about the metals. We shall see as we go out to the Rock Lobster, the man who, as we have already established, his childhood was dark. It was bleak. It was spent in a monastic cell wearing brown and staring at gray walls. He needed the color palette of Master of the Universe just to kind of wake him up a little bit. He's wearing brown flannel as we speak. This is not a man who embraces color. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, what is catching your eye out there in yet another wild start to a wild week?
Yeah, it's like once again we continue to drift upward. Volatility does not want to drift down. So the 2025 playbook, after Russell confirmed it for me, the all-powerful Russell Rhodes, Dr. Vix. We'll just call it the Trumpian volatility years. You can get happy for a little while, and then there's something new on the horizon. So we've had we have control of Greenland, however we want, somehow. Not quite sure still. The Venezuela thing seems to have died down. I don't think we're attacking Iran anytime soon, but it felt like VIX got a bit on Friday, which is not normal. Normally it sells off a little on Friday because of the weekend coming. As the market, rallied pretty strongly. Earnings, I think, are pretty good. We're waiting for big tech. I think what is the end of the day, we had the and that's where I say, like, the politics does bleed into the markets. You got these ICE raids, and everybody's like, well, what does that have to do with the market? But that is that will be a pretext for possibly a shutdown. The last shutdown we had, VIX kind of didn't do much. So the market kind of did its thing, but VIX wasn't responsive. So what I would say is these things seem to be kind of snowballing in that direction. So we'll probably have another period of VIX kind of being unresponsive to rallies in SPY, but very responsive to sell-offs in SPY. So I think that is coming again to a theater near you. And that theater is going to play on the 31st, start playing the 31st, which is the end of the week. So there are apparently, and also the administration is taking another stake in a rare earth producer, USAR. That's a stock that we followed in Option Pit in our capital gains thing, and I'm long some shares in there. Woohoo, go me! But I'm going to be called away. Most likely this February expiration cycle. I'm not going to complain, but when you sell calls, you have to sort of be expected to be called away. Yeah, but they're making these inroads into, hey, we are going to own, or they're going to buy some production. And again, the administration being very aggressive with this rare earth thing. Somebody gave them the rare earth message could some of these silver prices and gold prices be from China buying? I don't know. It's hard to get that data. So there is something afoot. I think these higher prices for minerals are not isolated. Everything trades for a reason. And again, I think these are just saying the signals, as I think the underlying economy is doing okay, because the U.S. generally, that's what happens unless politicians screw it up. But I think there's some things just under the surface, as we have said once before, the Dark Lord has yet to reveal himself. And I think there's just a little something under the surface here. Anyway, can't put my finger on it. But again, once again, volatility VIX should be lower, and it's not. So, and that means other people have their spidey senses are tingling as well. So, but hey, nobody's going to complain about the stocks going to all-time highs. So I'm definitely not complaining about it. I'm happy. I'm probably as long as I can be stock. So, hey, on we go. But I still think there's something afoot here. Maybe Skeletor is behind it.
I was just going to say, you're setting up a perfect scenario for Skeletor to come in and just undercut this entire market, cackling like mad the whole way down.
Him and Gordon Gekko partnered up, I heard.
Yeah, two icons of the 80s, Skeletor and Gordon Gekko, looming in the background, waiting to derail this market and ride their puts all the way to fame and fortune. Is there some put riding going on? Is there any sort of option riding going on out there in the market today? Well, the answer is yes, it's decently active, all things considered. We'll get to single name equities in a second. A lot of people are excited about the onset of these new 0-day equity options. You've been asking for them forever. NASDAQ proposed them back in OIC of last year. It's taken a little over half a year to kind of get there. But we were coming into the start of this year wondering whether we'd see them at all this year. Or maybe that was next year or something else down the road. Nope, we're going to see them by the end of this month. So absolutely wild stuff out there. Is all this action and all this consternation, all this Skeletor lurking behind the scenes, is it leading into some flow? In VIXland, the answer is yes, 375,000 contracts on the tape. So decently active this time of the show. Not close to 500,000 like we saw a month or so ago. But then again, the ADV then was around 1 million contracts a day. So you'd expect that. Right now, we're at about 750,000, a little bit north of that. So 375 in that context sounds a lot more appropriate. By the way, if you're wondering, what is the hot option out there in VIXland today? Well, it looks like actually we got a return of our old friend. It's the old, I think it's a 1/4 ratio spread. Looks like it here. It's the June 21 47.5, sell 1/4. They're doing that 100,000 times today, 20,000 by 80,000 times. So take that out of there. Bit of a different story. Only 275 on the tape of actual, dare I say it, real VIX paper out there. But they love that vertical. They've been doing it pretty much every month like clockwork for over a year now on all sorts of funky ratios to the upside. But that's your hot option out there in VIXland, doing pretty decent. SPY also doing pretty decent as well. Closing in on 6 million contracts right now. 5.75 million contracts to be precise. The ADV a little bit north of 9, about 9.1 million contracts. The S, 2.3, so closing in on 2.5 million contracts. The ADV 4.1 out there. Small caps also back in action out here today, listeners. Small caps, Flowmaster's been talking about them for a while, how they're just having quite the year so far this year. Having quite the day today as well. By the way, small caps right now actually off slightly, about 0.2%, putting up over 1.25 million contracts. The ADV 1.6 million. So unless I should say IWM early falls out of bed out there, there's really not much going to stop it from hitting its ADV out there today. The Qs, 3.33 million contracts. The ADV a little bit north of 5, about 5.1 million contracts. So the Qs also looking pretty active. But a lot of you are coming to the dance for the equity options. And what kind of dance do we have today? You know what, listeners? Let's re-rack it right now just to make sure we have the most accurate, up-to-date numbers for you. And the question right now is it a respectable day out there? The answer is no. It's decent, but it's not respectable. We're closing in on 300,000 contracts right now. 289 is what it costs you to break into the top 10. We like to have that threshold of respectability. It's around 350, not quite there today, let alone the 400, 450s we've seen on some really active days out there. Nonetheless, number 10 gets us to our old pal Netflix. Used to be known as the Widowmaker. I don't know what you really call him now, except a little bit of red on the screen today. Netflix, a little bit shy of the 86 handle, off slightly today, so not a huge net day for them. Putting up 289,000 contracts for the number 10 spot. Number 9, it's the Amazonians, also up slightly, a penny, literally about as slight as it gets. Trading right around 239.17 right now. Putting up 296,000 contracts for the number 9 spot. Number 8, CoreWeave. Seems like we only talk about this name around earnings season, and that is the case again today. Remember last year they had some deals with Alphabet that really got them on everyone's radar. Today, apparently, it's a deal with NVIDIA. They invested $2 billion in CoreWeave, and the stock reflecting that 125, up 7.25, or nearly 8%. Good for number 8, CoreWeave. On number 7, a newcomer on our odd block radar, certainly a newcomer in the top 10. The Rock Lobster was just talking about it. Apparently, we are all shareholders of this name now, along with Intel and whatever else the government is buying on our behalf these days. Yes, USA Rare Earth Inc., ticker symbol USAR, trading today right around $29 exactly, up about 4.25 or 17%. So not a bad day for USAR out there. By the way, if you're wondering, because I know I was wondering, what is the hot option out there in USAR? You might be forgiven. You see a huge 17% pop in the name. You're thinking, okay, upside calls for days, right? But you would be wrong. The hot option in USAR right now, seems like folks might be fading the heck out of this thing. It's the Feb 25 puts. They've traded about 20,000 times right now for average price of around $2.61. So, past fading the initial Trump bump seems to have been the right move. Is that the right move out here? We put it out to you folks. See what you folks see. And right now, 2/3 of you want to buy those puts for $2.61. Only a third want to sell them. We'll see. This just went live a few minutes ago. We'll come back at the end of the show, see if your views have evolved at all. But you folks right now, maybe fading a little bit of this juicy Trump bump as we keep climbing to by the way, USAR number 7, 309,000 contracts on the tape in case I didn't say that earlier. Number 6, AMD, a name that's had a hard time, actually not a hard time this year because I had a good run this past week. Before that, really, heading into the start of the year, this stock really was feeling it. They sold off from about 223 down to 203, so $20 right off the top. And then since then, it's been quite the tear, up 50 handles to 253. So now year to date, that puts them up about 13, almost 14% year to date, where you go back a week and change, and they were pretty much down on the year. So a wild little run out here for AMD, giving some back today off 585 or about 2.25%, trading right around 254. Good for number 6, AMD, 318 on the tape. Number 5, we're back to that time of year. It's GameStop. We seem to only talk about it during earnings season, listeners. 24.64 up $1.66 or 7.25%. So folks liking apparently the big short guy bought a piece of it because he's been so right in the past. Didn't he just shut down his fund? But yes, that's enough to pop the stock. That's really all it takes for a meme name like GameStop, right? Number 5, GameStop, 540 on the tape. Number 4, it's the fruit company. Man, they are feeling They are feeling it. Record market share of 9% in India. More buyers than sellers, whatever it is. It's been hard. It's been challenging to find green on the screen for Apple so far this year. And that is still the case, even with today's big pop of $7 exactly, or 2.8%, trading right around $255. They're still down about 16 handles, or about 6% year to date. So it's been a rough year for Apple. They seem like they bottomed out maybe recently around 246. So hopefully the Apple Bulls are thinking that's the bottom. They hope that is. But either way, number 4, the fruit company, 614. Again, last year you had to struggle to find a red day in the second half of 2025 for Apple. Even days when the markets were red, Apple still managed to close green. And this year, it seems like it can't find green to save its life. So a bit of a weird rotation, perhaps, out of Apple. We shall see. Are we rotating into number 3? Not today. It's Tesla, listeners. Tesla, 735,000 contracts on the tape, 438 and 2/3, off $10.50 or 2.3%. This name, they rally to that 4.5 strike. They sell off again. They rally. We were talking last week on Thor about 420 puts, 430 puts. We ended the week talking about the 4.5s again. What will be the hot option in Tesla today? Well, you got to tune into the Hot Options Report to find out, listeners. Yet another reason why you should be subscribed to the full network. Number 2, listeners. This one kind of screwing the pooch ever since their earnings. This stock has been on just a magical run over the last quarter, roughly. They were around $20 when they went hat in hand to DC, talking about my old stomping grounds at Intel, and then they shot up to mid-50s. We talked a lot on Thor about the 60 calls. That was lighting up the tape, 60s, 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 and then earnings came around, and no one's talking 60s anymore. The stock, 42 3/4, off 2 1/4, or a little over 5% today. So the earnings, no bueno out there for Intel. Number 2, 760 on the tape for them. Just wild stuff, man. The market giveth and the market taketh away for Intel. On the number 1 spot, you know what it is. It's NVIDIA. Even if they are looking a little light today, only 941 on the tape right now. Still get you to the number 1 spot. 186.85 is where NVIDIA's hanging out, off about 85 cents, or not even 0.5%. Again, good for the number 1 spot. But you know what a lot of people are fixated on right now? It's earnings season. We got some big names popping off this week, including some names you may have heard of. Like tomorrow, we got Boeing, our former friends across the street. I believe they're down in, I think, in Newport News or somewhere in that area now. I miss their delicious lunches and their barbecues on the river on Wednesday. But I digress. United Health tomorrow. We got GM and American Airlines tomorrow. Wednesday, we've got what Rock Lobster used to call telephone. That's how long ago he was on the floor. AT&T. We've got good old S-Bucks on Wednesday as well. Those are both before the bell. Then after the bell, we've got some names, the M&Ms, the Microsofts, and the Metas. Also got some little name called Tesla popping off on Wednesday, as well as Beamer, Southwest. I think Southwest, they might be before the bell. I'll have to look and see on Wednesday. Thursday, we've got some fruit company after the bell. So a lot of folks will be watching that one. Friday, we've got SoFi before the bell, and Chevron and Exxon, and all kinds of good stuff. And if you're down for a little bit of good stuff, I don't blame you. We are too, which is why we have updated earnings move results, earnings season reports for you over there on the website, completely free of charge, because we like giving you cutting edge data that most people would charge you for if they were sane, and say, here you go, run with it, have a good time. Like American Airlines popping off before the bell tomorrow. They were at $14.67 when we ran this report. They were pricing in 91 cents. In the past, they've moved 66 cents. So fair amount of extra juice in American Airlines. Boeing, 27th before the bell as well. 252 is where they were trading as of this report. They were pricing in $10.82. In the past, they moved $8.45. So wow, 2 for 2 with size extra juice in their cup. Let's go out to, let's skip GM. GM's never that exciting. Let's go find some other fun names that you folks like to sling. How about good old S-Bucks? S-Bucks, 28th before the bell. 97.62 is where they were trading. They're pricing in $7 exactly. In the past, they've moved $4.82. So wow, we are now 3 for 3 in decidedly extra juice on the earnings front. That is interesting. Let's go out to Rock Lobster's favorite telephone, aka AT&T, also 28th before the bell. 2360 is where they were trading. They were pricing in 97 cents. In the past, they moved 96 cents. So not much evolution there in all things telephone. Let's get out some more. Let's got some more sexy ones. Let's go out to Meta. Meta 28th after the bell, 658.76. They're pricing in $41.42. In the past, they've moved $62.31. My goodness, is Meta giving away the bargain of a lifetime in earnings, Vol? I have to dig into that one a little bit more, listeners. Microsoft 28th after the bell, 466 is where they were trading. They were pricing in $22.35. In the past, they've moved 18.25, so pretty much $4.11 worth of extra juice. Microsoft sprinkling in a little bit more on top. That's more along the lines of what I expect this cycle. So Meta really kind of jumps off the page from that perspective. Let's go out to Tesla. Ooh, might have another one jumping off the page here. Tesla 28th after the bell. They were trading $4.49 when we ran this report this morning. Of course, you know what happens in Tesla. Wait 5 minutes, and they are trading somewhere markedly different. We just talked about them a few minutes ago. They are now trading $4.38, so they've dropped $11 since we ran this report. But that said, that also makes this number jump off the page even more, because as of this report this morning, they were only pricing in a little bit less than $25, 24.75 on that straddle. In the past, they've moved about $44. So yeah, $20 off the top, roughly. Tesla, that seems absolutely wild to me. I'll have to dig into that a little bit more to see. We've been talking about Tesla every day for the last few weeks on Thor, and just how much it's moving intraday and how much options paper is going up. If that is truly the case, if they carved off about $20 off the top, then Tesla might be the screaming, don't tell Don Schlesinger, but the screaming buy of the century out there. Oh, we're coming up against it. Let's Apple really quickly. I'm having a good time with all this earnings data. 29th after the bell, 248 is where Apple was trading. They're pricing in $9.75. Get this, in the past they've moved $5.84, almost $4 worth of extra juice. Now this is some wild stuff here, listeners. If you're not checking out this earnings data, you are missing out on nuggets like that. Go check it out. Check out the website. Meanwhile, it's time for us to check out a little bit of odd paper. It is time for the odd block.
It's time to break down the most interesting, unusual, and downright questionable options activity that's been identified by theoptionsinsider.com. It's time for the odd block.
All right, let's get weird. Let's get wild. Let's wake up the Rock Lobster with a little bit of action out here on the old odd block. And you know what? Nothing wakes you up more than a little bit of pizza. Thought I was going to say coffee, didn't you? Nope. We're going pizza. Yes, we're going to Papa John's, ticker symbol pizza, PZZA. Trading $36.52, off about 40 cents, or about exactly 1% today. On the year, it's been a tumultuous year for Papa John's. They were they're about almost $3 north of where they are right now, $2.90. So they're down a little over 7, about 7.33% on the year. But they had a lot of highs and lows, I should say, a lot of highs and lows in between. They got down to $30 and pretty much exactly in the big sell-off in April. They rallied to about 49, almost $50 in June, back down to $40 in August, back up to their high for the year of $55.74 in October. And since then, it's been pretty much straight down, about $21 on this stock. So bit of a rough time for pizza, Mr. Rock Lobster. This chart, maybe, especially the last few months, really maybe makes this trade today make a little more sense. What do we find out here today? We got some pizza puts lighting up our tape out here, listeners. We got somebody coming in this morning saying it's a pizza, the March 30 puts. How are they? Also, this market is an absolute atrocity. They got a nickel at 70 cents. That is, I mean, they would kick you off the floor. Back in my day, they would kick you off the floor for a market like that after the broker punched you in the face when you replied to him a nickel and 70 cents. But nonetheless, they got away with it here. The March 30 puts a nickel at 70 cents. They traded 8,000 Mr. Rock Lobster for 42 cents. Okay. Just split those uprights. Why don't we? Looks like they traded those, and that's pretty much most of what they traded all day. They traded a couple hundred after that 8,000 lot, but in small pieces. And looks like they were 45-cent bid coming out, so maybe that they were 45 at 70 when they actually tightened it up. So it makes it look like potentially a bit of a line in the sand put, which probably, given this chart, makes a little bit more sense. Mr. Rock Lobster, what are you thinking about with these pizza puts?
Yeah, Papa John's has had kind of a rough. I don't remember, like a couple of years ago he had. I don't know. It's the pizza. It's actually, I thought it was always pretty good pizza going to get it. But it looks like when I saw this volume go up, there was 8,000 total. Average price somewhere below 42.5. And then the puts trade 40, 45, 50 and small blocks, and then up to 60. So whoever sold them for 42, they're 50 bid going out. So I think at first I thought this could be a line in the sand put. And now I'm not so sure. I think the trader was a buyer on balance at the beginning, but it's not clear. But I would say probably a buyer on balance for 42 cents. So, but they keep trading higher and they're 50 bid going out. No one's selling the 50 bid. So that tells me that this was a buyer, and maybe they're expecting some, more bad pizza news. A lot of chain restaurants. Our beloved Portillo's is a $6 stock, and a lot of these, like Bloomin', like Outback Steakhouse, $6 stock.
Portillo's was one of the best performers of the year until silver went insane, sir.
Yeah. I know. Actually, I did a little bit of bottom scooping in there. But yeah, because it was like 450, and then it traded as high as 6. So now you got some performance already in 2020. Yeah, this is I'm gonna think it's a put buyer. This is a 2B watch because they're basically looking for some bad earnings news here.
Did have the whiff.
The worst is not over.
Yeah, did have the whiff when we first looked at it of a buyer. This market, again, an atrocity. You might like it better as a sale. You might like getting into them at 40 cents, in which case, if you liked them at 42 cents, as the Rock Lobster points out, you can sell all you want for 50 cents right now, listeners. So maybe that's welcome news to you. We'll see if our next one is welcome news to you. We've been talking all these metals, and the shiny stuff gets all the headlines. But you know what? On this show, we're not afraid to get base. In particular, we're going out to Arrow Copper Corp, ticker symbol Arrow, ERO, trading $34.05, up $1.21, or about 3.8, almost 3.9% out there today. So a good day for a little bit of Arrow. And it's been probably a decent year for copper, and that is the case. A year ago, they were $13.50, so they're up 151%. And unlike most of the other charts, including the one we just looked at here, Domino's Pizza or Papa John's Pizza, where they were up and they were down, they were up and they were down all over the place. This chart pretty much straight up from last year. So I said last year, if you didn't want to do the AI trade, put some metals in your back pocket was a pretty darn good trade last year. I don't care which one you picked. Obviously, silver and gold and platinum and palladium leading the dance, but copper, not a terrible year either. Again, up 151%. On the year for a little bit of Arrow Copper Corp. And Mr. Rock Lobster, if this paper is to be believed, doesn't seem like they think the run is done. Somebody came in this morning and said May 45s. How are they? They got $1.45 at $1.55. They said, I will pay $1.55 2,500 times. When they did it, the stock was at a new 52-week high of $34.80. So obviously the stock has come back against them a little bit. So they are failing your first Rock Lobster sniff test. But then again, Mr. Rock Lobster, they are feeling the upside in copper. What say you, sir?
Well, I'd say in April of this year was a $10 stock, and now it is a $34 stock. So by any way you slice it, a pretty good year for Arrow.
Is that yours, Mr. Rock Lobster? Is that beaming in from you?
This is my work.
Oh, Tosaw. There you go. Tosaw giving us a little bit of a taste of his day in the life.
Yeah. How the sausage is made over there. It says St. Charles Wealth Management.
He just wants to get going on his strategy block. He's antsy.
I know. He only got like 5 minutes for him. I would say, yeah, somebody thinks the stock's going higher. And they're going out and buying the cheapest dollar option they could find. So, I mean, the stock was $10 in April. It's 35, and May they think it's going to 45 or higher. So, there's nothing going on right now with the mineral sector that would surprise me.
It is a wild.
Is the short answer. Nothing would surprise me.
It is a wild thing, and Uncle Mike's always wild on the strategy block. So let's get there now.
It's time to dispense options, wit, wisdom, and education. It's time for the Strategy Block.
All right, Mr. Uncle Mike, we heard you loud and clear. You said it's my time to shine. So what do you got for us this week, Mr. Uncle Mike?
Well, what would Skeletor and He-Man say of such a thing? That's the question that I think you need to ask. What would He-Man say to Skeletor?
You should have burst in with a mad cackle. That would have been on brand.
For sure. So I'm doing my annual reviews for clients right now, and January is always the time of year with which I do it. And so one of the things that just came to mind as I'm doing this, as you're trading or investing, make sure that you pick the proper benchmark with which to measure how your trading has been doing. So for example, let's say you're doing a covered call strategy. You may not want to match your covered call strategy with the S&P 500. BXY may be a better covered call index with which to choose from. That's a CBOE index that matches 2% out of the money covered calls on the S&P 500. Let's say that you're doing collars. CLL would be another index with which to consider. If you do collars consistently, you're likely not going to beat the market over time, but it doesn't mean it's necessarily a bad strategy. It's just something to where you're going to be more protected. And so it's important to make sure that you're comparing apples to apples. Let's say that you have some fixed income in your portfolio. A fixed income ETF that a lot of times can work as a good benchmark would be AGG. And what that is, it's a total bond market index. That's another one with which you can use. And so in the strategy block for today, I really want to emphasize to our listeners that make sure that what you're looking at is something that's compared to what is actually happening within the market. Now, let's say you're leveraging yourself a little bit. Let's say that you are typically buying 2 call options and you're doing it in a smaller portfolio. Well, one of the things with which you can do is you can calculate how many deltas you typically have. And let's say you're doing this on the S&P 500. What you can do is compare your deltas to how many shares of SPY that you would have to own to make that the equivalency. And so that's something with which you can do to measure how you've done in the year. Now, of course, this means if you're bullish, now if you're bearish or neutral, that's a different story. But if you're bullish within your strategy and you're trying to beat a specific index, whether you're leveraged, whether you're not leveraged, whatever the case may be, I would encourage you to make sure that you're looking after the proper index when making a comparison. And that is the strategy block for today. I'm going out as the champion for today because I think I'm in the lead now, aren't I?
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, sir. So the year begins well for you. A bit of a tough one, tough sledding for the Rock Lobster. As we go into our final segment, it is time to go around the block.
It's time to tell you what we'll be watching on our trading screens until the next episode. It's time for Around the Block.
All right, listeners, welcome to Around the Block, the portion of the show where we tell you what we're watching for the rest of the week. Coming into the end of the show, we are seeing markets continuing to climb a bit. S&P up 0.2%, I should say. Dow up 0.6%. NASDAQ up 0.7%. And VIX Cash still stubbornly clinging to that 16 handle. So once again, you got markets up and vol, not quite up, but firm, which is an interesting thing in and of itself. We asked you at the start of the show, are you folks down for some of those Feb 25 puts in USAR 261? It has now shifted. It's now 55.6% of you want to sell those. 44.4% want to buy them. Our actual question of the week right now, we said, hey, tech earnings are on the docket. Got Microsoft, Apple, a whole bunch of big names popping off. How are you approaching your options trading this week? Are you straight selling premium? Are you buying premium? Are you slinging your 0-day index fund? Are you sitting on the sidelines? Right now, 2/3 of you are going to the dark side, and 1/3 of you are selling or trading, I should say. 0-day index is how you like to approach the earnings season now, which is kind of fun. Mr. Rock Lobster, how do you approach earnings season? What are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week?
Interesting. Earnings season, well, it's always good to see what stocks do. I think a lot of earnings season, you learn in the first week. Like if the numbers are decent, most of them will be decent. And banks are doing good. Usually other earnings will follow. If banks do real bad, it's never good, which means things in the economy are not going well. So that's kind of how I approach them, to be honest. I don't really trade earnings per se. But for this week coming out, yeah, I want to see some decent numbers. I think the numbers right now have been pretty good. And I think that is the surprise story, that the earnings are pretty good. I know there's a lot of news about that is not necessarily bullish, but the actual, companies making money, that's ultimately how the stocks go up. So right now that still looks pretty good.
Mr. Uncle Mike, same question for you, sir. What are you keeping an eye on for the rest of the week?
Well, definitely keeping an eye on silver, because I really can't keep my eye off of that, quite honestly. When something goes up so much, it's like looking at a reverse car accident. So keeping an eye on that. Wanting to see if we can make another run at our all-time highs. If we have a day like today, tomorrow, we will be at new all-time highs. Need to watch that in stocks. And then bonds have been relatively quiet. And so that's something to where I think when silver goes back to somewhat normal anyway, and the year drags on, and we are looking at a new Fed chair or nominating one, I think bonds will be getting more attention. So continuing to watch that, and of course, earnings.
That music means we've come to the end of another sojourn through the world of the option block. If you want more sojourns in your day, don't worry. I'll be back in a little bit talking all things crypto derivatives, crypto vol with our good buddy, Mr. Greg Magadini. His first appearance, I do believe, in the new year. So it should be fun checking in with him. And of course, we wrap up our day with Thor Odinson, aka the Hot Options Report. Yet another reason, all that fun, why you should be subscribed to the full network. And Mr. Uncle Mike, I should say, if they want to go check out what you got cooking, or maybe talk some sweet Masters of the Universe action with you, where should they go? What should they do?
Oh, a couple places. So check out my YouTube channel. Just released a little bit of new content last week. Type in St. Charles Wealth Management. If you would like to have a conversation with me or check out my website, go to stcharleswealth.com, book an appointment with me. Always happy to talk to any of our listeners with regard to financial planning from an option kind of guy.
An options kind of guy. Don't say the option guy, though. That's trademark. That's taken. Then Mr. Overby might have, his lawyers might have words for you. In the meantime, stcharleswealth.com is the place to go. And the man who will be hurriedly catching up on all things MOTU for next week's trivia challenge, the Rock Lobster. Mr. Rock Lobster, sir, where should folks go if they want more Rock Lobster goodness in their lives?
Yeah, I'm launching a scanner very soon, but all the early adopters get it today. Optionpit.com for all things. We're now year 16 into it. I know we're just a kid next to you. You 2-decade-old dog, but we are growing by leaps and bounds here at Option Pit. So take a look if you want to learn how to trade these things and actually trade where the mentors and the teachers and all that actually trade the exact trades they put out. There you go. OptionPit.com.
They eat the dog food, so they make sure they like the taste. Check it out.
Exactly like
Option
the taste.
Pits. Yes. Option Pits. Put that in your branding. We eat the dog food. OptionPits.com to learn more. While you're checking things out, make sure you check out our friends over there at Tasty Trade, tastytrade.com/podcast, the place to go to see what deals they have in the offing for you cool option block cats. It's going to do it for us. If you're hanging out in the Pro, we'll be back in a little bit talking all things crypto. Yet another reason why you should be hanging out in the Pro, on top of which you're getting the panel from yesterday, or I should say from, it seems like yesterday, from Thursday, as well as, of course, the upcoming Vol Deathmatch 2.0. A lot of fun stuff coming that way, as well as, of course, oddities, live streams, all sorts of goodies. TheOptionsInsider.com/pro. Then we're back again with our usual array of content throughout the week until we come back on Thursday. Flowmaster in hand, another episode of the Option Block. Stay safe out there, everybody.
Old trading walks into a bar. New trading raises it. That's Tasty Trade. Keep focused with news feeds that matter. See opportunity differently in analysis mode. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Plus, you can get low pricing, lots of education, and a support team that really gets how traders trade. It's no wonder Investopedia named Tasty Trade the best broker for options in 2024. Genius loves company. Go to tastytrade.com/podcasts and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Incorporated is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.